If you'd like to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button to stay on top of the market news. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CM Trading. Today is October 14th, 2020. And today is Wednesday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, gold has a big sell-off yesterday. And looking at the markets today, no major economic events scheduled for today. But starting out with the Forex symbols, we're watching the dollar actually gaining versus the major pairs. And that comes on the back of the NASDAQ being a little bit strong, but the Dow Jones selling off yesterday as well, as the market's kind of recoiling after yesterday's JP Morgan earnings report. Now, looking at the commodities, gold tanks, as I mentioned, and oil pretty much unchanged. And lastly, looking at the stocks, we have Alcoa coming out later today with earnings reports, while we are looking at Apple debuting its new iPhone as well. So lots happening in the market. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to take a look here at the Euro USD. Yesterday we nosedive. Okay, a basic nosedive. I can't say it anything less than that. From 1783 down to 1743. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, the markets are consolidating. Okay, the Forex symbols are not as volatile as they were towards the end of August, beginning of September. And as such, they're trading like that as well. If we're looking at the GBP here, 130 down to 130.78, down to 128.93-ish level. Also, a retracement, but not a major retracement. Hard to pick up these things as it did break above our resistance line, but could not sustain it. Okay, so interestingly enough, a lot of choppiness in the markets. Now, jumping into commodities, gold had a nosedive yesterday from 1921 down to 1886-ish level. Okay, so I do expect this to continue having these type of severe moves, but there's really little rhyme or reason, and it's honestly speaking very hard to trade intraday. Okay, you're really just chasing it and really just, having a momentum kind of trade in these type of scenarios. Okay, so, even though there is volatility in the market, it's light volume, and you could see and you could get whipsawed in either way. Now, jumping into the NASDAQ yesterday, we're sustaining ourselves 12,161. Now, remember, this we hit a high of, at the beginning of September, a high of 12,457. We're about 300 points away from that. So I'd like to see that actually close in. Now, I do want to highlight the fact, okay, and this is an important fact, towards the last week of October, most of the major high-tech companies will be coming out with earnings, okay, including Apple, including Intel, including Cisco, including Microsoft. So these are things we want to keep an eye on, all right? So they may pump it and then dump it, which means they'll pump it up as high as they can, okay, towards the end of October, and coming in the first week of November, we may see a decent sell-off. Remember, this coincides also with the elections as well. Now, looking at the Dow Jones, yesterday we sold off from 28,800 down to 28,600. A decent retracement, 200 points within reason, okay, but very choppy market yesterday. Very, very, very. Intraday, look at that, okay? It was a nightmare, okay? This is just 30 points up, 30 points down, 30 points up, 30 points down. Altogether, we sold off 200 points. But again, it was a very choppy market. What was consistent, if we look at it, JP Morgan yesterday actually breaking on the downside. Now, this I did mention yesterday. I said it would not sustain. If it did not sustain itself above this 104, which was our previous upwards trend line, we would use it as a resistance-ish area. And that's exactly what happened here. And we sold off over 3 points almost, okay, from 103-ish level down to 193, just bouncing off that 155. Now, to say that JP Morgan is going to be a sell going forward, there's a lot of outlook here that we have to take into consideration, okay? And I really want to keep my eyes peaked up on Alcoa today. This is the price of Alcoa as it's trading a little bit higher here, 1263. Okay, let's see what happens today as the news unfolds. Now, a couple of things, all right? The market has already digested the fact that we're living in a COVID pandemic environment. That's number one. Number two, we're still in kind of like a bullish market, okay, for better or for worse, where the markets are being somewhat withheld from selling off. Now, looking at some of the high-tech stocks, looking at Microsoft, sustained itself at 222, but not really trading with tremendous volume. Looking at Apple, We had a bit of a sell-off from 123 down to 118, settling at 119ish level at the end of the day. So we saw a bit of a sell-off here as well. Okay, so I don't have the conviction I had 2 days ago to say, hey, this may still go up, okay? Because you see that the stocks are not sustaining themselves, okay? If the market sells off, it's one thing, but the stock selling off with the market shows some bona fide sell-off, some bona fide weakness, okay? So with that said, going into today, we do also have Bank of America coming up with a earnings report today, so keep that in mind. So lots happening in the markets. I do expect it to be choppy until we have some sort of conviction in either way. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.